crazy world, huh? Well, don't let it get you down, son. Penis, 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 penis.
Hello there, chat. Welcome to this crazy world where strangers come up to you and just whisper penis, penis, penis into your ear. And it kind of feels like you wake up in this world like every single day. At least it feels like this for me. But before I get deeper into that issue, let me get some music up so we can start this off properly. And I actually need my Fugi up as well, because I haven't been due diligent with that. Is it up? Yeah, it's up. All right. Music first. Then we can talk about things that were happening while I was asleep. Because they always happen when I'm asleep. Like everything interesting when it comes to VTuber shenanigans happens when I'm not there. Always late to the party, and always have to do janitorial duty for the very dramatic things that happen within the VTuber scene, especially the English one. If it's not Niji Sanji thing, it's kind of related to Niji Sanji as well. Because guess what? Despite today's stream being almost completely Kirsche focused, there's a few Niji Sanji, Niji sisters notes here and there. Because why the hell not? Always has to happen. What kind of music are we what kind of music do we have in store for today? I always pick the same one usually. Maybe because it's Clown World. Let's pick the March theme from the winter school in Blue Archive. Might be a bit too loud, but let's see. Hold up. Okay. Might be a bit too loud. It's gonna play in the background the march of our clown world happening today. So yeah, that's what you're getting today. So let's get right into it. In case some of you don't know, which would be very strange because people that usually come to my streams are informed about things like this beforehand. Popular indie VTuber Kirsche Verstahl has been blacklisted by the VTuber convention of OffKai Expo. Why? Well, because she made a lot of people on staff uncomfortable and she got executed for it. What's the behind story on that? Well, it gets a little bit more complicated. Even Kirsche has been talking about it. As she tried to handle these issues in the background without making them public, but OffKai Expo staff didn't want to budge on certain issues. They didn't come to an agreement on what's gonna happen with that. Kirsche has not been reinstated to her position as a panelist, like an 18+ panelist, because that's what she was pretty much invited to do at OffKai. She was supposed to be a part of it, but OffKai had a different idea, and she pretty much got uninvited, and she will not be able to speak her piece during the convention, which is, of course, a problem. And why is that? Well, because you don't just get, blacklisted when there's so many weird people which are arguably much worse than whatever Kirsche has ever said on her streams and on Twitter. But it doesn't matter because the volunteers, the OffKai Expo staffers, they have bug up their ass, and they decided to make a bigger issue out of it. And Kirsche, not taking things like this lying down, of course, on her return stream, decided to talk about it. We're gonna watch her talk about it. We're gonna discuss the conversation she had with the staffers over at OffKai Expo. And then we'll also take a look at some of the reactions to what has been happening with that, because it's been reaching far and wide. Even certain people involved in something you may have not heard about before, because nobody ever talks about it. Even certain people that participated in Gamergate over 10 years ago at this point have decided to chime in on this act by OffKai Expo, and this whole thing just kind of blew up to very weird proportions. So people not even interested in VTubing or tangentially on the sidelines of VTubing decided to get a little bit interested in that. And we'll take a look at some of their reactions. And as I said at the beginning, even Rinji sisters got involved in this, because why the fuck not? They always have to speak their mind, even when they're not invited to the discussion. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. I'm kind of on two minds where we should begin with this, because I think we might start with the DMs, with the private messages that Kirsche has released to people that she talked about during the stream, and then we'll watch a lengthy clip of her actually talking about it, because I have some exclusive material, chat. On the quest of trying to make a decent thumbnail, which is it's okay-ish for this stream, I contacted Kirsche directly to ask her if I can get a PNG, a PNG with transparency of her model, of her latest model that she showed off yesterday. And during that time, Kirsche also offered to show me more parts of the conversation that she had with the OffKai staffers. And there's a lot of revealing stuff over there. Most of that stuff Kirsche, of course, talked about. But we're gonna get a little bit deeper into it, because there's some things I don't think she showed on stream. But she did relay that to me, so we can talk about it. Again, I may be wrong. Maybe she showed more than she did. I didn't watch Kirsche's full stream about it, so it's very possible that she talked about the things that I'm about to talk about. But it doesn't matter, because the conversation that she had with the staffers, especially with the main guy in charge of all of it, it's a little bit enlightening, and even reveals certain information that is not even related to Kirsche, but a different VTuber and a different VTuber company that almost got in trouble with OffKai Expo. But it turns out the situation got turned upside down, because Kirsche played unintentionally bluffed her way into someone revealing too much information about about that specific VTuber and her company. But again, we'll get into that. So first things first, we'll be taking a look at the DMs, at all the private messages that Kirsche has received and talked about as she was trying to resolve the issue with her being essentially deplatformed from OffKai Expo privately. So let's take a look at these. Let me bring those up real quick. Everything sorted. And funnily enough, as I'm preparing these tweets, as I was saying that so many different people got involved in this mess, that even some characters from the past return, and even a character from my previous stream that I did a week ago, because that guy is involved too, because of course he is, being Kirsche's #1 fan and hater at the same time. It would be very weird if he wasn't involved in that. We'll get into his shenanigans regarding this too. So here's the DMs. We're gonna read through that, provide a little commentary here and there. First, a showcase that we're gonna be looking at later. The tweets, the offending tweets that Kirsche apparently got in trouble for with the staffers. We're gonna take a look at these a little bit later. But first, here's the DMs with OffKai staff. Starting off with Twitter DMs, as Kirsche went directly to OffKai Expo's Twitter account and DM'd them, asking what the hell the issue was. Because, you know, most people do not get blacklisted from a convention, whether it's an anime convention, whether it's any other fan convention of a particular niche interest, because that's, you know, that's a little bit unusual to just get outright banned by it. So here's Kirsche notifying them. Hey there, OffKai Expo peoples. I was stated to be on a panel for the upcoming OffKai. However, I just received notice that I would apparently be too risky to have been on said panel by the OffKai organizers, and I'm curious what the issue is. I appreciate you getting back to me. Thanks. And this is the reply they received. Hey Kirsche, sorry about the back and forth. We usually ask to approve any co-panelists ahead of time, but this case fell through the cracks. We hope you understand that given the current tumultuous state of VTubing, we would like to avoid collaboration with somewhat polarizing creators such as yourself. Which is very funny because OffKai had many more controversial panelists, many more controversial guests on their roster last year and even this year, and we get to who they actually have this year, because there's some people that actually harassed other people, and they also seem to have slipped through the cracks. So unless, you know, OffKai is okay with that, or maybe their staffers are that incompetent that everything slips through their cracks and they just don't vet people well enough to be able to tell who's kosher for OffKai and who isn't. Essentially, polarizing can mean of the wrong political opinions, I guess, in this case. But it's all very vague language, and they will expand on this because they explain which particular of Kirsche's opinions they had issues with. But let's continue. And Kirsche replies with this. I actually do not understand, as I personally have no issues gathering sponsors, short or long term, with both products and games. I do not promote hateful rhetoric. I'm genuinely surprised what I would be blacklisted from your convention. Feels more like a single person who dislikes me has poisoned the well. You guys have hosted VTubers who have participated in harassment campaign, which leaves me even more confused as to what part of my content would be a problem. I do believe Kirsche partially also here refers to Marina, because Marina actually had a panel before. And here's what they reply with. I can assure you that no single person would have the ability to make such a call, and that is also not a sponsor-related issue. Please understand that we are all an all-volunteer-run event, and your name coming up with made a number of our staff uncomfortable. We value our team a lot and do not want to cause issues this close to the convention. This is why the exec team decided against having you participating in the panel. This is not a blacklisting. You are still free to attend and participate in other ways. I'm sorry, but this is the amount of information I am able to share. This is not a blacklisting, but you cannot speak, and your platform has been taken away. But you can still come. Like, you know, VTuber convention, come in person. Not as your VTuber self, come in person. Pay us, as we have blacklisted you by saying that we haven't blacklisted you at the same time. Which, of course, you probably can tell is just a lot of bullshit. And, you know, kind of circling around the issue while never getting into the exact issue of it. Insane and cowardly at the same time. Let's continue. And Kirsche replies with this. I think if people are accusing me of making them uncomfortable, I have a right to know what have I said or done to cause that, especially if it's affecting my ability to participate in panels, having an effect on my friends as well. And again, you have platform VTubers actively participate in harassment, something I have never done, so I do not understand the issue with my presence. Also, to say that this isn't blacklisting is disingenuous. You're telling me I'm not allowed to participate in panels, which is blacklisting. I haven't heard back from you guys today, and I would like to be able to rectify this privately if possible. However, if left no other option, I will be speaking about this publicly. And as you can probably tell from what we're doing right now, and from Kirsche's own statements, nothing got resolved in private. Hello, this is Lysander. I'm the director of this year's OffKai, and if you're open to it, I'd like to talk about it more in depth, not I'm depth. I'll try to give you as much information as I can about it, but as you might guess, it's complicated. My Discord tag is Lysand. If you're okay with continuing the convo, they're there to spare our social media team. Hi Lysander, I have sent you a request on Discord. And then the conversation moves to Discord with OffKai Expo Bigwig, the big kahuna, Lysander, talking about it with Kirsche. We're gonna read all of this. Hi, thank you for taking your time to talk with me. Thank you as well. This whole situation blindsided me at the tail end of my vacation. I'm really sorry for interrupting you on your vacation like this. I guess I'll just start with the what about X-Party situation. If you're referring to who I think you are, yes, they were part of our event last year, but what was before everything went down. We chose this year to not continue to work with them. We aren't all know each group of a person we work with and try to do some basic screening, but sometimes things just don't get found. And in case you haven't figured it out, this is more than likely, I'm 99% sure this is about Marina and her fucking antics. We talked about Marina before. Too long didn't read. Hogwarts Legacy anti-proponent. A lot of nasty things were found out about Marina in the last few months. Some very not kosher, some very aggravating, borderline criminal allegedly happening with Marina. If you want more information about Marina and Marina's antics, you can watch my previous streams about it, because it's too lengthy to get into it. But again, TLDR, participant in harassment campaigns, not necessarily related to Hogwarts, but also a proponent of, you know, the Hogwarts Legacy bullshit that was happening, but a harasser of different VTubers within VT Rainbow, as well as Taiga, which is the most egregious of things that Marina has done. Other than the alleged supposed sex parties in VR chat with minors. Who knows if they happened? Who knows if minors were there? But there were a lot of people that corroborated that, so I am more likely to believe it did happen and then didn't. But let's get back to what Lysander says here. Our organization is made up of all volunteers from pretty much every background you can think of. No one is getting paid, so a lot of difficulties of managing 100 plus people is making sure our team feels comfortable giving up their free time to help us. We have members on staff who are fans of you and your work, and other members who are not. I think it's fair to say that they're a bit controversial with a lot of your takes. They're controversial if you're a genuine leftoid that thinks that everything that is not the opinion that you possess is a right opinion. And by right, I mean right-wing opinion. So essentially, everything to the right of these people is some kind of weird right-wing opinion. And having a right-wing opinion, even though it's not a right-wing opinion, in today's political climate, is pretty much being the next coming of Hitler, because that's how it is. all of nuance about how a person thinks about certain issues is completely lost and mangled via the internet. Let's continue. Especially for a staff largely based in California. Well, thanks for admitting that California, once again, is the worst place on Earth, and an earthquake of magnitude 8 or more cannot come soon enough and sink that place. During the pitch phase, we talk with the panelists about topic and people they want to work with and clear it with our staff first. And in this case, we didn't know till everything was already in motion last week, basically. So part of it is also incompetence. Good to know. There are a lot of volunteers involved in working either directly or indirectly with every guest and panelist, and it isn't exactly fair for us to ask them to do something they're not comfortable with. Which is, you know, kind of weird, because he said that apparently the staffers also have Kirsche fans on it. So why don't the Kirsche fans take part in managing Kirsche's panel? What would be the problem with that? I mean, if you don't like Kirsche as a VTuber or as a person, you don't really have to interact with her when you say that you have staffers onboarded that aren't necessarily her fans, but also you have Kirsche's fans on staff. So why not let the staffers that do actually like Kirsche and handle it, and the rest can just, you know, go about their way? But no, you just can't ignore someone you don't like. If you make someone uncomfortable on the internet, it's essentially a crime. It's so weird. We are in a difficult spot in managing guests / panelists / staff / industry expectations and balancing them all. So that's what led us to asking that you don't participate in the panel. Get a list of screenshots of things that made the staff uncomfortable if you do wish to see some of them. They're mostly tweets that you made in the past. Kirsche replies with, "This is indeed a fair assessment. I would like to think, while I have a stark contrast to a typical Kali person, I do not peddle in hateful rhetoric towards people. If people with communist beliefs would be okay, I do not see why I shouldn't be, even if they disagree with my position. Excuse my ignorance of how cons are run. I have only done a meet and greet at WeepCon, and I'm setting up something with YomaCon in the future. But the people who would be uncomfortable with me, could they simply just not work on a specific panel I was set to be on?" Again, same argument that I made just a moment ago. Well, indeed like to see these. You say mostly tweets, so I'm also interested in what was given as a reasoning besides the tweets. A lot of them come down to gender identity and DEI type issues. And in case some of you don't know, DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Essentially, people that are responsible with onboarding minorities and propagating minority issues, that kind of thing. And here's them. Here's Lysander sending screenshots as JFIFs, because why the fuck not? Not the JFIFs, says Kirsche. Oh, sorry. Oops. If you have these saved, should be able to change file type to PNG, and it won't break. And here's the tweets. That second screenshot is literally me giving the definition for acronyms. What? And they go back and forth on this, and it's really enlightening where this discussion goes. That second screenshot is literally me giving the definition for acronyms. What? Like, I didn't make that up. It's on Google. Yeah, I get it. But it was basically to show a general attitude of disdain for it all. And I get that you're entitled to your free speech and thoughts on the matter. Very much respect that. Well, if you respected her free speech, then you wouldn't deplatform her from your convention, well, would you? If you had respect for free speech and Kirsche as a person, for that matter. But let's go back just a little bit to those screenshots that are apparently a problem. See, this is the whole collage of them. As you can see here, Kirsche replying to Sam Hyde, 2 months on HRT. Let's go. Kirsche says, Sam winning a women's weightlifting competition? When? Again, I don't know how this make anyone uncomfortable, but you know, when you transition into something, you know, from one gender to another, you essentially want to become that, right? So Sam becoming a woman and winning a weightlifting competition would be accurate. So I don't get how this is supposed to be transphobic, because I imagine that's how it's you know, positioned here, how it's construed as that. Another tweet. I got notice that your YouTube added pronouns to the creator profile. I'm glad that is part Italian. My preferred pronoun of A is available to the initial drop. There's a notice that says stay tuned for the addition of new pronouns as well. Hope I pull off an SSR in the gacha. I mean, laughing at a silly inclusion of pronouns is bigoted, I guess. According to them, I just think it's a good joke, which, of course, in the eyes of so many people, makes me a bigot, I guess, as well. Another tweet. In the US, we have LGBTQIP2SAA, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, questioning, intersex, pansexual, two-spirit, asexual, and ally. But in Canada, they have 2SL, LGBTQI+. And the plus is people who identify as a part of sexual and gender diverse communities. Hope this helps. Again, this is Kirsche explaining the difference between acronyms and how minority communities of different sexual identities are, I guess, what kind of acronyms they have in Canada and in the US. So I'm not sure how this is, again, construed as something bad with her explaining it. I mean, maybe the upside down faces make them think that Kirsche has been mocking this. I don't know. And another tweet. After its last strange decision to get rid of everyone's discriminator, Discord seems to be rolling out pronoun feature for your bio. And I don't know, explaining that is also bad that they're doing that. Again, don't get it. Here's another tweet. Sorry that I'm gonna kinda zoom on this one. Didn't say other than pic related. If it happened a day after I post, I met on pronoun people infecting some anime wiki. So I imagine just Twitter freaks mass flagging, which might also be why I got your account has been reinstated response so quickly. This was one of the issues that Kirsche faced as she was talking about an anime wiki being invaded by essentially identity activists, and the identity activists got upset about that. So Kirsche talking about her getting mass flagged is also, I guess, a problem. Also, something that Kirsche herself noticed, and that I noticed within the screenshots that have been provided here to her by Lysander from the staffers. You notice that the word pronoun is bolded here, which means some people have used Twitter's search function in order to look for these specific words coming from Kirsche's account. So they purposely were looking for things to get offended by. That's why the word pronoun is highlighted here. It's bolded here, and it's bolded here, and it's also bolded here. So again, they were looking for things to get upset about. Another tweet. DEI isn't dying and we haven't won. I've been talking about Bridge for months and I've linked my findings to Timcast and others for more coverage. Don't celebrate when he's still in the war. We can win, but we need to stay vigilant and not rest on laurels that even exist. I guess the offending thing here is that Kirsche is going against DEI, and that's apparently, again, a bigoted stance. I'm guessing the inclusion of Tim Pool here is also being that. Maybe being a culture war warrior has also something to do with that. I don't know. But the culture war aspect of Kirsche's personality hasn't been around too long. It's just more of the fact that Kirsche's hobbies, things that she liked for many, many years now, have been infected by identity politics, and the people that have been there since the start are essentially fighting enemies that want to remove them from the hobby for very innocuous things. Painting all people within the hobby as, you know, bigoted, racist, sexist, all kinds of phobics, what have you. And Kirsche doesn't like that. Kirsche doesn't like her own people, meaning, you know, gamers, essentially, because Kirsche is a big gamer, being labeled as that. So, of course, you'd want to fight against that. Why wouldn't you? So, again, if you know Kirsche's stances about all of this, you'd know that this isn't a move against, you know, diversity, inclusion, and equity. This is a move against people that use their identities to attack other people, paint themselves as victims, and then, you know, make sure that everyone else, no matter how guilty they are, is the enemy to them. That's how it works. And another tweet: standing up for fruit farmers, Kirsche responds to the Washington Post, and this is a video from a clip channel, Azahara channel, and he clips a lot of Kirsche. So I'm guessing even the way that the video is labeled by someone else is a problem, even though Kirsche herself, you know, proponent of free speech, would be defending Kiwi farms. But again, making sure that someone else's channel is linked here and essentially blaming Kirsche by association, I guess, is the move from them. But let's move back. Let's actually move back to their continued discussion. Now that you know what kind of terrible tweets, terrible bigoted tweets Kirsche got in trouble for from these people. So this is how they explain this. Yeah, if someone were to feel uncomfortable with me, I would hope there'd be something besides me making a couple of jokes and responding to middle-of-the-road Tim Pool, giving a little definition of the LGBT acronyms, and my tweet after getting unbanned from mass reporting on Twitter. I can understand people being wary of Kiwi Farm's defense, and it doesn't seem to matter how many times I preface. Any Kiwi is important because if they aren't allowed to exist, other websites will follow. With doxing is not okay, and I dislike the amount of people on Kiwi who participate in it. Again, nuanced opinion is lost. If you defend any aspect of Kiwi Farms, even, you know, the free speech aspect of it, essentially you're a bigot, because other bad things tend to happen on Kiwi Farms too. So of course you're a proponent of those if you speak in any kind of positives about Kiwi Farms. And Lysander responds with this. This is a more difficult question, since all conventions are different. There's a lot of for-profit or larger conventions where things are departmentalized or paid with very different structures. Generally, the larger they get, the less they care about drama, just as a rule of thumb. Which essentially partially true. I've known and heard some horror stories about anime convention staffers, even very big conventions. Otakon volunteer horror stories by volunteers themselves about other volunteers as well. And it's not really right to say that the bigger the convention gets, the less they care about drama. It's more that they care less about what most people have to think about certain aspects of their staffers, because certain staffers, especially the volunteers, if you've been to any anime convention in the last, let's say, like 10 years or so, you know that volunteers that get too much power, they can get very ahead of themselves and think that, you know, they're hot shit, and they would be able to exert some sort of power over people that go to these conventions. So again, volunteers having too much power within an organizational structure of a convention is always a big problem. So it's not that they ignore drama if the convention is big enough. It's just that they kind of push it aside because there's other different kinds of drama happening. But you know, that's what I know. That's the stories I've heard personally about this. And let's continue. That's why I know you didn't like it, but we said you were not blacklisted, but it's very, very late in the planning process to try to accommodate. Oshi Life, for example, is doing robot rides for VTubers around the convention. Or there are other groups doing meet and greets from their tables directly on iPads. There's also an element of volunteering that's different from normal work that's a bit hard to explain. It's all unpaid. There's also people who attach their more of their own self-sense to the cause, organization they are volunteering for, regardless of what it is. So even if they aren't directly involved with you, there's the element of the organization doing something you disagree with. We hope we can grow into a place where we are large enough to fully insulate people. But it's only our third year, and growing is difficult. This is an insane take. Because if you're a volunteer into an organizational position for a convention or any kind of organization at that point, you're supposed to do the work of organizing it so it runs well for everybody, essentially. Your job isn't to bring your personal beef or personal beliefs into your job and make sure that it becomes everyone else's problem at the same time. The moment you give these people that much fucking power, you're just asking for them to co-opt your organization and then make everything they deem problematic into your problem as well. You're accommodating people that do not have other people's best interest in mind. Essentially, people that are more than likely very selfish, and their beliefs trump other people's beliefs, and if they don't get their way, they have to remove you, and you're also part of the problem. So, Lysander, if you ever watch this stream, I probably won't. But if you ever do, I think you're making a huge mistake. I think you're very cowardly, and you're bending the knee to people that are essentially gonna fuck you over at one point or another. Or maybe you're also of this belief. Who knows? He tries to be impartial as much as possible here, but to me it clearly shows that he's bitch made, at least in that aspect, and he'd rather take it up the ass than make it fair for people like Kirsche. But it is what it is. Let's continue. Even at the over 100 staff, we are understaffed. I'm currently the hotel lead, external vendors coordinator, product procurement, sponsor co-lead, and logistics lead on top of being director. Just to give you an example of kind of the scope of how far behind we are on volunteers to try to come up the ranks. Most people just can't get up more than a few hours a month to help on staff. And I understand that. But at some point, you have to, when your convention is growing to the point where industry people, like huge bigwigs, popular VTubers, because Hololive is up on OffKai's OffKai Expo's deck this time around. There's Hololive guests coming. Niji Sanji was supposed to come, but they got uninvited. Sucks for them. Because they themselves would contribute to a bad environment for the convention goers, and also the livers would probably get shit from some people. But then again, from what other people told me about how people behaved at OffKai, other than the few incidents of that one guy impersonating a VTuber clipper, a weird orgy that only I noticed, and a few people that participated in it noticed. I don't mean the Mari _Ian orgy, because that's just a joke that got taken a little bit too far. But there was an actual orgy at OffKai Expo last year. Or at least a room that had very sexually explicit things going on in it. I also had a stream about that, so you can go watch that. Pretty wild, I have to say. But you know, that aside, there's things happening at conventions like this that need to be regulated. And they need to be regulated fast, because I'm quite sure that they knew way beforehand that very big VTubers are coming to the convention, and they will be, you know, security issues. There will be other issues with organizing their appearances. There will be many additional guests coming to the convention because HoloLive brings in the people. Bigger indies also bring a lot of people, like Fillion, for example. Face Connect nowadays also brings in a lot of people. Pippa alone, Pipkin Pippa of Face Connect alone brings in a lot of people. I know. I participated in a meet and greet with Pippa at OffKai, and people were lining up, like wrapping themselves up like all around like a pillar at the convention center, because the lines were so big. For Pippa, at least 100 people alone came to talk to her, so it was a very big deal. And Otakon, being the East Coast's, I think, largest convention, you know, bringing 100 people alone to that convention is a pretty big deal, you know. Of course, people were there initially for anime, but VTuber is becoming a bigger thing. It's also becoming a part of these anime conventions, so of course it's going to be important to cater to these people as well, ultimately going forward, if you want your conventions to grow larger than they already are. So again, going back to my point, you need to do better. And at one point, you can't just rely on volunteers. You'll have to get some kind of paid staff. If you don't have the budget for it, I'm quite sure if you do like a GoFundMe or like a Kickstarter thing, in order to get the money to accommodate that, you will be able to do that. OffKai would probably easily be able to gather enough funds to pay some volunteers, some professional people that could, you know, be impartial to what's happening, and we're just focused on the organizational part of it instead of anything else. So again, that's bad on you. So all excuses of, oh, it's all unpaid work, it's all volunteer stuff, even that is not an excuse enough, because you could have screened some of the people there. You could have set some ground rules, you know. Don't bring your personal shit into organizing a VTuber convention. But nope, they brought in some people, probably without screening them. Probably, I can imagine some of the very first people that decided to volunteer. Probably some with previous credentials of having volunteered for other conventions, so of course they would be hired first and foremost for that kind of thing. But yeah, let's continue, because I'm going on tangents here just a little bit. And Kirsche replies with this: I'm pretty sure both WeepCon and YomaCon are smaller than OffKai. I was just using those as an example of how little time I spent at cons. As far as I was under the impression that things have been set up for quite a while, and was even given the okay to join the planning Discord on May 1st. And it only became an issue after that. I can understand if some volunteers didn't know I would be there and dislike me, but I do not see this as a reason to disallow me to be on a panel set up for someone else. And this is going to be important. This highlighted thing is going to be important, especially from screenshots you have shown. Have done nothing wrong and said nothing hateful. You said there were more complaints besides the tweets, so I'm curious as to what those were. This seems like people being petty, possibly the same people who didn't want Pippa to be there previously. but an easier mark to get rid of since I do not have the backing of a company, much less of a company that sponsors so much of OffKai. What Kirsche says here is something she kind of misunderstood, because Pippa had some issues at different conventions, not an OffKai, but I have personally talked to someone that attended OffKai last year, and from what that person told me is that Pippa had issues going to an artist alley at OffKai last year, where she had one of those movable robots with a camera attached to it, and apparently some people didn't want to let Pippa through. I don't know if those people were attendees trying to fuck with her, or maybe they were staff. I don't know what the issue was that there was, but that's kind of besides the point. Here, Kirsche is talking about a different convention, having misunderstood which convention here was actually talked about in regards to Pippa having problems. The OffKai, the OffKai leader here, he kind of lets it slip that Pippa did actually have, people being against her during last year's OffKai. And he says this: the people who have caused the issue with Pippa left us last year as well. So our attendance last year was 8,853 people. So again, he let it slip that there were actually some people that had issues with Pippa, and those people are currently gone now. Interesting things to think about here, chat. And then Lysander says this: the people who had caused the issues with Pippa left us last year as well, so our attendance last year 1,853 people. Just for size comparison, this year we are looking at 2,500 capped, sold out. What the? I always thought you guys were a lot larger. We are so tiny, lol. Maybe it's the level of marketing, since it's so much about OffKai. I got that impression. It's a big deal in the circles you run in, basically. Which is why I was even more shocked that there be any issues with my presence, at a smaller convention like this. And even then, 2,500 people, that's at this point, it's a medium-sized convention. I wouldn't say it's small by, North American standards. I frequently look at the numbers year by year, and a lot of them are growing. A lot of smaller conventions, local conventions in bigger cities are also popping up. With numbers going into the hundreds, and those I would consider the smaller ones, other than the ones that have attendees in the double digits, not even the triple digits. But Alessandro continues with this: I worry about that too, honestly. In our Discord, we regularly remind newcomers at our size. Generally, the smaller the size, the more specific issues grows, right? Like echo chambers. One person causes way more disproportionate effects in a room of 100 versus 10,000. Again, I hope we can get to the point where things like this become less of an issue, but I guess that's besides the point. Which makes me think, how many people of the 100 staff actually had issues with Kirsche here? Couldn't you shout them down or tell them they're being retarded and essentially to shut up and sit in the corner and go do something they actually would be able to do effectively at the convention? How many talking heads were there during the discussion phase when they talked about essentially blacklisting Kirsche? This really makes me think, how many people out of these 100 decided to go against Kirsche, and this was the result of it? Makes you think. And Kirsche replies with this: I would like to think that unless the person in question has done something actually terrible, call for violence against a person or a group, dox someone, assault someone, groom someone underage, etc., a volunteer could just ignore someone they don't like existing. I shouldn't have to have the opportunity sacrificed in my career. Nor should my friend's time, effort, and planning get mucked up. because someone didn't like a few tweets that I sent. Tweets that aren't even hateful, much less something generally bad or illegal. There are a lot of people I don't like, and I wouldn't seek to harm their prospects. Essentially, even if you don't like someone, you don't necessarily go out of their way to ruin them. You can make fun of them all you want, but, you know, when you decide to go into what was called life ruination, that's what it was called in some places on the ye old internet, it's where you step over the line. So do not do that. Laugh at people, but do not mess with their livelihoods, unless, you know, they're really some kind of predator, some kind of, you know, really violent, aggressive person that is about to hurt someone. This is probably one of the times where you do actually get that carte blanche to interfere with their life. Because why wouldn't you stop an actual pedophile from going after kids, for example? Or someone, you know, that has a history of already going after kids. Why wouldn't you stop them? But yeah, let's continue. Lysander replies with this. But this is one of the a lot harder to speak on, as I'm not exactly qualified, but I'll try. From your point of view and your perspective, a lot of what you're saying are harmless jokes, jab, asking, questioning and dismissing ridiculous ideas or concepts. But from someone who's closer to that community or is part of that community, that you're making those jokes about to see very much more than just jokes. It does feel hostile, because generally it's one of those snowball effects that can quickly turn into something more. So essentially, he's making the argument that, you know, Kirsche will bring with her something violent. Her aggressive, bigoted fans are gonna descend upon the convention going forward and create problems for people, if not Kirsche herself becoming that. Thanks for putting thoughts into her head, though, Lysander. You're a really nice guy. At least you're pretending to be, because it doesn't really seem that way to me. This is one of those political points that is exhausting. Many ellipses. Either side of this debate will rarely see that other point's side or even close to a valid argument. Which is funny, because Kirsche usually tries to see both sides of an issue and present both sides of an issue to her stream audience. It's not Kirsche that does the thing that Lysander here says that you know, some people do. I've seen so many leftoids and rightoids, both on the, you know, far left, far right, just outright not being able to accept other people's opinions. And Kirsche certainly isn't that. If I would position Kirsche on an American political compass, you know, between being left and right, she's more left-leaning, if anything. Maybe a little bit more towards the center, but definitely a libertarian. Kirsche is all about personal freedoms, respecting those freedoms, and not infringing upon those freedoms, making sure that, you know, people are able to be themselves within their own communities, and fighting back against people that would like to remove them from said communities. So, you know, that's that kind of mindset. Essentially, don't fret on me, because I will defend myself. I will bite you if you decide to go after me. That's the kind of perception I have of Kirsche based on the many hours of streams I've seen her talk about many issues. So Lysander here is essentially portraying her as something that she isn't, and essentially a lot of her fans aren't that either. But yeah, let's continue. Oh no, I can understand this point of view, but I would like to go out on a limb and assume they would like to be some kind of people who'd agree with Uki Violetta in that saying things like, I find it gross when I see white people kiss, or explaining how old white people saying hello to you ruined your whole day and are completely fine and not racist. I can understand how people who don't watch me or know what I believe is just see tweets would lump me into a group they worry me more about. But I am not interested in speculation and should not be removed from a panel based on conjecture in someone's head fiction. And along those lines. Continuing on. There's a lot of things here that are redacted, by the way. Oh no, I can understand their point of view, but I would like to go... Oh, okay, I read this already. But I'm not interested in speculation and should not be removed from the panel based on conjecture in someone's head fiction. And along those lines. Redacted is going to OffKai, and she's someone I have defended previously, as she had been attacked by people on Twitter for Redacted. By these people's standards, that's a lot worse than anything I have done, yet she's still allowed to be at OffKai. I can imagine that the redacted things here might be about Fillion, but I don't want to speculate too much, but could be about Fillion, because people have been trying to cancel Fillion for George Floyd jokes as being racist. Yeah, that's it. A George Floyd joke. One about which she immediately apologized the moment she said it. So yeah, I could imagine this could be about her, quite possibly. Yes, though. Yes, through an external vendor. She's not going through us. I promise there will be an endless list of whatabouts. There would be. Had no idea. Redacted. I am a bit surprised at that. But yeah, we can't really catch them all. All we can do is control what we do at our panels. Like I said, I understand the point of view of people complaining, but I should not be punished for things that they make up in their head. Also, I hope mentioning Redacted to you has no negative repercussions for her. Again, I mentioned defending her. I just wanted to point out another example how I feel like I'm being unfairly targeted. I'm not even going to bring it up. Our staff has way more to deal with. I think there's a point where we do come to a bit of an impasse. We think this is all in their head, but people are people, and each person has different beliefs and thoughts about everything, and it's just our job to, as the managing team, try to keep the conversation going to deal with the issues that come up. I never thought I'd be here having this conversation when I started moving boxes years ago and starting volunteering. Well, Lysander, you should have had more spine, and you should have vetted people that you work with a lot better. Public perception is a real thing. You have have a reputation among the community in general, whether it's deserved or not. This is the worst statement that he has made about this so far. I think that's just the age we live in. People who don't like you won't go out and hate what you're streaming to confirm their biases. Haha. Yeah. That's why there's so many fucking call-out posts by people going into other people's streams and essentially trying to catch them on all kinds of things in order to cancel them. Happened with Kirsche, happens all the time with Kirsche, and also happens with Pippa. So no, Sander, you're completely wrong about that. And banking on someone's, public perception of a person is fallacious, because there can be a lot of retards out there that see you as the worst possible thing, and you shouldn't respect unreasonable people's opinion, especially if you have counter evidence to what they think about. This has already happened to a lot of big VTubers. It happened with Zion Lanza, who is Sayu. They painted her as the worst thing in the world, while the girl just made, edgy jokes. That's essentially the gist of what she has done, that has pissed people off so much. They painted her as all kinds of weird things, and there were so many people that thought that the Niji fucking sisters, the Niji Sanji fucking fans, they were rabid about it, and there were so many of them. So just because the public perception was so widely spread about Sayu being all of these terrible things, a pedophile, proponent of sexual fucking assault, these kinds of things, should the opinions of these people be accepted because they're so widely spread all over the internet? Should you bow down to these fucking opinions because these people act like this and this has become a quote-unquote popular opinion? You should use your fucking brain, my dude. You should use some fucking common sense that apparently isn't common. you shouldn't cater to people that are unreasonable and go after people for essentially fucking nothing. This is, again, one of the worst statements I've seen about anyone organizing anything. Just because there's a, widely spread bad opinions about you, you should cater to the people that have these opinions, and because they're popular. Retarded. A retarded mindset to have. Let's continue. To go back to, for a moment, Redacted got back to me and said she had this being planned for around the month, so this definitely wasn't very, very late in the planning process. It is. There's no difference between what I say and do. What people see and then I assume I say and do is that what we refer to as rats. Nothing but baseless rumors that grow tails and fangs because people regurgitate them. And while yes, it is part of being a public figure to deal with people believing untrue things about you, if you are an organization and are willing to believe other people and how they are created their headcanon around me instead of what I actually say and do, then you also will have to accept the repercussions that come along with that when the unfair treatment is spoken about publicly. I'm afraid I don't have the exact timeline, but I know she had a concept for a panel down, but I believe that she did not mention any names till very recently. Normally names got proposed at the start, but I don't think it was communicated. Hold up. Get a little bit smaller. To add to my point as well, do you have any qualms with participating in this kind of system that perpetuates illogical hate / cancel culture, giving in and saying, that's just the culture we'll live in, instead of driving change if you want to see it? Yes, it was always a risk to continue talking that you were going public with it all. And I personally understood against other people's advice, but I'm just trying to give you our perspective, which is retarded, by the way. We are a private business, a retarded private business. We have to protect our branding, which you aren't doing very well at this point because you decided to have this conversation. And you can probably figure it out that since you're not reaching an agreement with Kirsche is going to take it to the public, and public perception of you is going to change. So congratulations for making it difficult for your business to run well as well, Lysander. I don't know how old you are, but you need some lessons in PR strategies because this isn't it. This is very bad. In fact, I think it's disastrous if people, don't forget about this within like a few weeks after it happens, because people on the fucking internet have the attention spans of fucking lemurs and goldfish or whatever. Our public perception are volunteers. It's not a choice any one of us take joy in making, I'm sure. We would love to see a place of complete unity, but at this state we can't. And who is creating those problems but you internally? You have to go to the cancellation route. I just ask that you please redact to any third parties we talked about, because none of them deserve to be impacted by this. It's very difficult. I'm just a third party, but too many of those concerned in their points of view, the things you're doing are harassing. Humans are just complicated. You mean people are dumb and lack common sense? Is that what you mean? I understand 100% you think you are not. I accept that, but I can also see their point of view. At one point, you have to stop being a retarded centrist and see for what it is, because you can't have it both ways. You can respect other people's viewpoints and still think it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, that's sort of respecting, as in tolerating it. But you shouldn't, sit on the fence on issues like this, because your convention, your organization is going to get torn up by people like this. As I said before, they're gonna take, like, you give them an inch and they will take a whole fucking mile, and they will run circles around you to make sure that you follow every single one of their orders, no matter how reasonable or unreasonable they may be. And they will always hold it against you if you decide to go against them, because that's how these unreasonable people work. Lysander, for your sake and for everyone else's sake, in case, you know, they encounter you organizing any other event in the future, I hope they don't get you, and I hope you grow a fucking spine at some point in your fucking life and actually start thinking logically with some kind of moral backbone behind it, because this isn't that. This is the worst offense sitting I can possibly imagine. Let's continue. It would be you who chose that route, to be fair. You stood your ground when volunteers threatened to leave over Pippa, and OffKai prevailed. Now it's happening again, and you can either capitulate to their demands or solidify the precedent you took previously, and the people would be less likely to strong-arm you in the future over their personal qualms. Being part of any growing organization is a mess. This is part of that. People will come and go, but this year we're less than a month from the convention. We made this call to try to move forward the best we can. I'm really sorry about it impacting you like this. It really doesn't feel like you're sorry about it. It kind of feels like, you know, very incompetent damage control, which just makes them look worse, which is not damage control at all. It's just kind of like setting fire to a fire, pouring gasoline onto the fire so it rises, grows bigger. And lastly, this. You are backtracking then. What was the point of fighting against them with Pippa was being deplatformed? We're just going to lapse on the principle now? This will embolden them to lash out against next year and then the year after that. Anytime any talent, for whatever reason, earns their ire, they know that they just have to rile up enough volunteers to reach a critical mass, and bam, their demands will be met because the threat of reprisal worked with me. So it can work again. Your desire to be large enough to insulate will never be reached, and I can only take away that this blacklist isn't for this year only because time constraints, but will continue going forward. And he replies with, so I think that this is getting too oversimplified. The convention itself is run by volunteers, so people will naturally come and go. It isn't set black and white parameter we have here. The exec staff compared to first year to this year is 50% different people now. Some with most of our departments, I'm sure they were who were upset by us on the first or second year, may have left because of being upset. Or completely unrelated reasons. We try to reach an internal consensus and talk with our staff when situations come up. It isn't just a clear, this person is cancelled, let's drop them type hardline. Growing complicates everything. I don't know exactly how the future structure of the con will look. When I'm gone, it could be a completely sterile corporate convention that doesn't pay attention to the community anymore. I'm just trying to state that as we grow, things will inevitably change. One thing I can agree with him here is that when a convention becomes more of a super business and has sponsors involved in it, like something huge that's pretty much an industry event, not just a gathering of fans anymore. The best example of that is Anime Expo. Anime Expo, more than a fan meet of, you know, anime fans. It's more of an industry event, and industry people go there to mix, because everyone essentially goes there to make connections and advertise themselves. There's so much advertising going on Anime Expo, and it's mainly an industry event nowadays. Despite there, you know, being so many people fans of anime, it's all a huge advertising scheme, and by scheme I don't mean that in a like a negative sense. It's just what it is. And if you were there, you would know what kind of bigwigs attend Anime Expo. I know I've been part of the industry industry and attendees for like 3 years already. And I know what kind of people go there. You'll have representatives from the biggest companies you can imagine that deal with anime adjacent businesses. You get your video game companies, you get your animation companies, you get your toy manufacturers, big people like television. Everyone's there, essentially. It's just the way it is. So this is the sentiment I can agree with. So the best you can hope for OffKai Expo, other than, you know, removing these people that want to deplatform people for wrongthink, is making sure that OffKai Expo becomes an industry event where people were just there to do business and they won't focus on interpersonal drama and personal beef. That's pretty much the best thing you can hope for, other than the removal of people that have sticks up their asses. And Kirsche responded with this. That definitely doesn't tell me that my blacklist isn't continual. So I will have to agree with you. We are at an impasse, and thank you for at least explaining the specifics of my unfair treatment, so I do not have to guess. I appreciate that. Lastly, thank you for your time as well. Again, I really apologize for disrespecting your vacation. The vacation is not the only thing that got disrespected here. Too bad for Lysander. And yeah, Lysander, for as much as he tries to be reasonable, I think he can get bent in all kinds of ways. For that level of sitting on the fence. He's sitting on the fence so hard, he's almost getting split in two. Maybe being split in two could help him actually get some better opinions about things like this. But yeah, these are Kirsche's DMs. And going forward, let me just take a quick drink. Actually, someone sent me some DMs. I'll take a look at those. And then we're gonna watch Kirsche's opinion about this. Kirsche's commentary on what I commented here about. Okay, DMs, luckily unrelated to what I'm doing now, so there's no disruption. But yeah, we're gonna be watching what Kirsche had to say about her own essential cancellation, if you want to call it that. So let me boot that up, and then we can watch it. Hold up. Put the BA music away for now. And I'll get the video up. Where did I put it? I think it's this folder. Kirsche DMs.
I have something somewhat important to talk about. Normally, you know, we laugh at idiots online and we don't get into anything like super.
This clip, this lengthy clip, is from Azahara's channel. Again, big clipper of Kirsche and other VTubers, mostly Face Connect related. So all of these disclaimers here are added by him.
Serious outside of like Bridge and its ramifications, but like, I would feel remiss if I did not talk about my recent blacklisting, because not only does it affect me, obviously,
leave a comment, push me in the algorithm,
but it will affect other people besides me going forward, because free speech is an issue that I care about, and I also care about not giving in to cancel culture people who want to create some weird idol of you inside their head. I was supposed to be on an 18+ panel at OffKai, and I'm not going to talk about who organized the panel or what the panel was about, because I don't want them to face any ramifications for me talking about this. But I have been blacklisted from appearing on panels at OffKai, and I felt that this was a very weird thing to happen, considering the audience that OffKai panders to and the type of people that go to OffKai. And so I wanted to contact people who worked at OffKai to find out what the fuck was going on. So I messaged OffKai on Twitter, and as you can see, this is literally the first time I've ever spoken to them. I was like, hello, OffKai Expo people. I was slated to be on a panel for the upcoming OffKai. However, I just received notice today that I would apparently be too risky to have on said panel by the OffKai organizers. And I'm curious what the issue is. I appreciate you getting back to me. Thank. And the OffKai staff responded, hey Kirsche, sorry about the back and forth. We usually ask to approve any co-panelist ahead of time, but this case fell through the cracks. We hope you understand that given the current tumultuous state of VTubing, we would like to avoid collaboration with somewhat polarizing creators such as yourself. And I was like, no, actually, I do not understand, as I personally have no issues getting sponsors, short or long term, with both products and games. I do not promote hateful rhetoric, and I'm genuinely surprised that I would be blacklisted from your convention. It feels more like a single person who dislikes me has poisoned the well. You guys have hosted VTubers who have participated in harassment campaigns, which leaves me even more confused as to what part of my content would be a problem. And OffKai responded, I can assure you that no single person would have the ability to make such a call, and that this is also not a sponsor-related issue. Please understand that we are an all-volunteer-run event, and your name coming up made a number of our staff uncomfortable. We value our team a lot and do not want to cause issues this close to the convention. That is why the executive team decided against having you participate in the panel. This is not a blacklisting. You are still free to attend or participate in other ways. I'm sorry, but this is the amount of information I am able to share. When I read, we value the team, we don't want to cause issues this close to the convention, that's why they decided against having you participate. This made me think of the Niji Sanji language, where they're like, yeah, this will be negligible.
Let's go!
This is not a blacklisting, you are still free to attend or participate in other ways. If I am not able to participate in panels, that is a blacklisting. If I can still come as a normal attendee by paying you, that just means I'm not banned from the convention. There's a difference between being blacklisted and being banned. And if I am not able to participate in panels because I make staff uncomfortable, why the hell would I want to give you my money to show up as a regular person? That just makes no sense. Gaslighting on display. Oh, the gaslighting gets way worse. It's very amusing. So I say, I think if people are accusing me of making them uncomfortable, I have a right to know what I have said or done to cause that, especially if it is affecting my ability to participate in panels and having an effect on my friends as well. Again, you have platformed VTubers who actively participated in harassment, something I have never done, so I do not understand the issue with my presence. Also, to say that this isn't a blacklisting is disingenuous. You're telling me I'm not allowed to participate in panels, which is a blacklisting. I haven't heard back from you guys today, so as you can see, there's a jump in a date. It's been a day. Haven't heard back from you guys today, and I would like to be able to rectify this privately if possible. However, if left no other option, I will be speaking about this publicly. And then someone else responded, says, hello, this is Lysander. I'm the director of this year's OffKai, and if you're open to it, I'd like to talk about it more in depth. I'll try to give you as much information as I can about it, but as you may guess, it's complicated. As I go into the DMs that I had with the director of OffKai, I want to preface anything else said with please do not bother the OffKai staff. Please do not do anything that would further make their claims seem real when they say that they are uncomfortable. It's not, I don't want anyone to have any sort of ramifications against the staff. Do not do anything to the staff. I don't even know who the staff are. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't even know who the OffKai staff are, but if you know any of them, do not say anything to them. Do not harass them. Do not do any campaigning against the OffKai staff. Do not do that. It's very simple. You just no longer support OffKai with your money. Exactly. Vote with your wallet. Do not engage the people.
If you know something about volunteers at conventions of any kind, is that despite the power some of them think that they possess, they also make themselves anonymous quite a bit. So all of the decisions that will lead to, say, you getting in trouble with any volunteers, you'll probably never find out who actually, you know, decided to like go against you. Like if you're some kind of public face, some kind of figure that's known to the public. Volunteers for anime conventions usually stay anonymous. It's kind of a Moloch. You can call them that.
And so getting into the DMs. So I'm really sorry for interrupting you on your vacation like this. I'll start with the what about X party situation. If you're referring to who I think you are, they were part of our event last year, but that was before everything went down. We chose this year to not continue to work with them, but aren't all knowing of each group or person we work with and try to do basic screening, but sometimes things just don't get found. And that's kind of a nice sentiment, that somebody who actually does actively participate in harassment is someone that they won't work with. Our organization is made up of all...
Or, you know, someone that participated in a huge harassment campaign 4 years ago, but hid their identity so fucking well that they either don't know about it or ignored it very conveniently. And we'll get into that kind of issue when we talk about the reactions to this from the public. Because I had a reaction of my own upon seeing what kind of VTubers are allowed to actually have their own panel at OffKai Expo.
Volunteers from pretty much every background you can think of. No one's...
Oh, I'm not even talking about Marina. Marina is one person. There's another and another I can think about. Like, from the top of my head, I can think about people that participated in some kind of harassment campaigns. Like, what Marina did is pretty fucking terrible. What that other person did, which I will get into very shortly, don't worry, just keep you on the edge of your seat, has done some terrible shit too, and escaped from all of it by changing identities.
Getting paid, so a lot of the difficulties of managing 100+ people is making sure our team feels comfortable giving up their free time to help us. And this is where after they decide to blacklist me, they try to go for the pity route, because like I said, I already told them I would go public if we couldn't solve this in private. So there you will see a lot of oh woe is me kind of language in this. I think it's fair to say that you are a bit controversial with a lot of your takes, especially for a staff largely based in California. During the pitch phase, we talk with the panelists about topics and people they want to work with and clear it with our staff first. And in this case, we didn't know until everything was already in motion last week, basically. There are a lot of volunteers involved in working either directly or indirectly with every guest and panelist, and it isn't exactly fair for us to ask them to do something they're not comfortable with. And I might just be, like, ignorant of how cons work, right? But if there are certain volunteers who just dislike me or the things that I say, can they not just work on different panels? Can they just not be in the room during the panel that I am on? We're in a difficult spot of managing guest, panelist, staff, industry expectations and balancing them all. So that's what led us to asking that you don't participate in the panel. We did get a list of screenshots of things that made staff uncomfortable. If you do wish to see some of them, they are mostly tweets that you've made in the past. Oh, don't worry, chat. They are freaking amusing.
A few minutes later.
And I said, you say mostly tweets. I'm interested in what was given as reasoning beside the tweets. And he responded, a lot of them come down to gender identity and diversity, equity, and inclusion type issues.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
And it shows 7 screenshots here. I'll bring those up. There's 7 screenshots that I was given. The first one is a reply to Sam Hyde, where I said, Sam winning a woman's weightlifting competition when? This is a very obvious joke. I do not see how this is offensive. I do not understand, especially considering we've seen men in Canada and the United States, without changing their gender identity, enter into women's weightlifting and then win. I am quite literally making a comedic commentary based on real life facts. This is not an opinion. This is something that has literally happened. Good.
Yeah, but the problem to them, you know, with labeling it essentially as transphobic to them is that pointing it out, in essence, that it might be a problem, that in itself becomes transphobic, because even if you want a reasonable discussion about, you know, trans people in sports and, you know, advantages and disadvantages of them in women's sports, mostly because that's where the most of the issues are. Even if you you know, mention that there may be some issues with that, it's already grounds for a lot of people to cancel you because you have an issue with that. So the only good statements you can make about that sort of thing is either not making them at all, or just praising how brave and inclusive everything is. That's the only allowed opinion you can have about that sort of thing. Nothing else.
To be aware, it's very good to be aware because, and you'll see this in the DMs, this is a pattern. This is not the first year they have tried blacklisting someone. It's just that I am an indie, so I am an easy target. Once again, you can see their language talking about how it'll be negligible for their bottom line to capitulate to the cancel pigs instead. Speaking of literal violence, check out how offensive my next tweet is. In the United States, we have LGBTQIP2SAA, which means lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, questioning, intersex, pansexual, two-spirit, asexual, and ally. But in Canada, they have 2SLGBTQI+, and the plus in Canada's acronym is people who identify as part of sexual and gender diverse communities. I hope this helps. Even in my DM with Lysander, you can see at the bottom, I was like, that second screenshot is literally me giving the definition for acronyms. What? I was like, what the actual heck do you mean? And so I looked up the tweet as well. And Michael here from that dirty far-right Nazi magazine niche gamer, he asked, what the f even is 2SLGBTQI+++, responding to Justin Trudeau, who said the acronym in a tweet. 2 likes. How did they even find it? As you can see in some of these other images, not this one. As you can see, they have like the word pronoun highlighted, so they quite literally searched my tweets for things.
Sorry, but I have to say it. This is an interjection that has nothing to do with what Kirsche is saying right now, but CWB from Niche Gamer, also known as Michael, is a retard. And if he ever watches this stream, I hope he knows that. He may be a very positive character in this story, but Michael is a genuine retard, and you shouldn't be involved with him. But that's my opinion. I'll get into that maybe some other time, because Niche Gamer in itself has a history of being quite retarded as a publication. And considering, you know, they went from niche gaming to covering popular games to now covering VTuber drama, should probably tell you a lot about how that publication is fucking doing. But, you know, that's my personal beef with Niche Gamer and Michael there. Might go into that a little bit later. A little bit more if it's, you know, topical. But I just wanted to interject. Because when I see retards, I have to call a retard a retard. I'm sorry.
To be offended by? Because that's apparently what you do if you volunteer for OffKai. The next tweet that I was given for why I am problematic is one of my responses to Tim Pool saying DEI isn't dying and we haven't won. I've been talking about Bridge for months and even linked my findings to Timcast and others for more coverage. Don't celebrate when we're still in the war. We can win, but we need to stay vigilant and not rest on our laurels that don't even exist. This is probably one of the least problematic tweets I've made. It's a personal beef. They don't actually care. They just don't like me. Which is why there are people going to OffKai who have, for example, said the N-word, and that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly fine. But I'm a problem. Not that I think you can't say the N-word. I've defended some of these people, for sure. If you're singing along to a song, it is perfectly fine to sing the words in the song, in my opinion. Moving right along to another.
I'll go a step further and just say words are words. They can be offensive given the proper context. It also depends how you personally use that particular word. So the N-word, doesn't matter if it's hard R or not. It's just a word. And just because you say it doesn't mean that you hold certain beliefs. Again, word is just a word.
Horrible, offensive, murderous tweet. Guys. After its last year's strange decision to get rid of everyone's discriminator, Discord seems to be rolling out a pronoun feature for your bio. The pronoun field in Discord didn't have any censorship on it, so I found this out that you could have your pronoun. So I found out you could quite literally make your pronoun candy ass Rudy poo, and that was perfectly fine. So I had to go around to other like corporate VTuber servers that I was in and be like, hey yo, you should look out for people with this new pronoun field because they can quite literally put slurs in it, and I know that would cause issues for you. So I even helped people avoid controversy by telling them about this. But no, me making my pronouns Burger Queen, that's a problem. That is terrorism. I am a stochastic terrorist. How dare I be a Burger Queen? And then we have replying here. They didn't say other than pick related. It happened on a day after a post I made on pronoun people infecting an anime wiki. I, at this point, don't even remember what the anime wiki was or what happened to it, because this was back in like November of last year that I got mass reported for that tweet that I made. So I just imagined some Twitter freaks mass flagging, which might also be why I got the "your account has been reinstated" response so quickly. So these volunteers at OffKai who wanted me kicked out didn't even read the context behind what they were posting. I was the victim of mass flagging and reporting, and they're using this as a reason why I am a bad person. And the only screenshot I was given that I was like, I can understand why someone who doesn't watch my content might find this problematic, was Azehara's clip on me standing up for the Fruit Farmer website. She defended Kiwi Farms, the site that must not be named. Kiwi Farms is an important website. If Kiwi Farms falls, if people who have been harassing that website, harassing the people that host it, get it taken down, that will unleash the floodgates for other websites that people deem problematic to also get taken down. And every time I have made any defense of the Fruit Farm website, I always loop on how I dislike doxing. I don't like the amount of doxing that happens there. I don't like how some people feel the need to dox innocent people who have done nothing. They're also an important website of archiving and information. Whenever a mass shooting happens, the majority of information on that shooting is typically on Kiwi Farms before it's anywhere else. So I feel like anyone who stands up for free speech should defend Kiwi Farms. But this ends the screenshots that I was shown for why I am too problematic to have at OffKai. And literally none of them, except the Kiwi Farms one, even makes any amount of sense. If you're going to bully an indie, don't do it for ideological reasons. Oh, man. If you don't get paid to do the work, you don't get a say in who can and can't be there. I can understand if they're like, well, we need volunteers. But are the volunteers who hold you hostage and say, well, we'll leave and not help you if you don't get rid of the people we don't like, is that the base you want to have for your convention? Is Pippa aware of this? Not asking her to do anything, just if she's aware. I would never want to put Pippa in a position to do anything about this because of how entwined Phase Connect is with OffKai.
Oh, in case you don't know, because this is important to point out here. why Face Connect probably isn't getting into any trouble is that even last year, as far as I know, Face Connect, Sakana has donated some money, one of the sponsors of OffKai, and this year, even more importantly, they paid Sakana, Face Connect, they paid for all of the tables for the artists at the artist alley at the convention, which is a big fucking deal, and that's a lot of money. So if they decided to go after Face Connect here, if they decided to go after any of Face talents, which would probably be, let's not kid ourselves, Pippa, because Pippa is the one that people think is this evil right-wing Nazi VTuber based on offhand comments, jokes, and out-of-context clips. That's their measure for that. She would be the one to get into trouble for that, but you know, if they decided to go after Pippa, they would have to go after all of Face Connect, because I genuinely don't think Face Connect management or Sakana himself would throw Pippa under the bus in order to save face for Face Connect. They would never do a thing like, oh, all of our other PC talents may attend OffKai Expo, but Pippa, no, because some people at OffKai do not fucking like Pippa. And at the same time, OffKai would be biting the hand that feeds them, because, you know, that kind of money you don't see every day. That helps all of the artists participating at the convention. So it will be incredibly foolish. Not that, trying to deplatform Kirsche isn't already foolish to begin with, as Kirsche is, Face Connect adjacent. People, and that's not a disservice to Kirsche or anything like that, not an insult to Kirsche, but Kirsche has been, attached to a lot of things that Pippa has done in the past, and even Kirsche herself would probably admit that Pippa has done a lot to boost Kirsche's popularity. So, I'm guessing the volunteers at OffKai Expo went after the next best thing, because Pippa essentially is untouchable in this situation. But Kirsche is an indie. But they underestimate how big of an indie Kirsche is, because she gets thousands of viewers on her streams, and that's not a small amount for a VTuber, as some of you know. That's a big indie VTuber, and Kirsche certainly is one. And she can make quite a stink about this sort of thing. And of course it blew up. And we'll see how it blows up after Kirsche is done talking about this whole situation.
I would feel like a person if I asked her to do anything about this. So she has nothing to do with anything that I am about to say. Good friend, I do not want to bring issues for Pippa, but her name will come up and I will have some explaining to do. And his response to me asking about the volunteers, if they can just work on a different panel, he gives kind of a runaround here, where he says, this is a more difficult question, since all conventions are different. There's a lot of for-profit or larger conventions where things are departmentalized or paid with very different structures. Generally, the larger they get, the less they care about drama, just as a rule of thumb. And I think it shouldn't matter how large you are as a convention. I think if you have principles, you should stand on them. If you want to grow your convention, blacklisting people that you think will be negligible to your bottom line because they made edgy joke is not the way to go. And they've done this before. They've done this to me. They will do it again. And especially because they were successful with blacklisting me this time, volunteers will feel emboldened in years to come, where if they don't like you, if you've made any sort of off-color joke, the volunteers can just say, me or them, and OffKai will capitulate. This is not going to stop if this is the way they are trying to build their convention. That's why I know you didn't like it, but we said you're not blacklisted. Once again, the gaslighting. It is very, very late into the planning process to try and accommodate. Like Oshi Live, for example, is doing robot rides for VTubers around the con. Or there are other groups doing meet and greets from their tables directly or on iPads. There's also the element of volunteering that's different from normal work that's a bit hard to explain. Since it's all unpaid, there's a lot of people who attach more of their own self to the cause or organization that they're volunteering for, regardless of what it is. So even if they aren't directly involved with you, there's that element of the organization doing something you disagree with. I like how they try to say it's not a blacklisting, but then they say that volunteers attach their sense of self to the organization that they're volunteering for. So even if they aren't involved with my panel, the organization merely dealing with me is problematic for these people. I was like, you can't weasel word your ways with me, sir. We hope we can grow into a place where we're large enough to fully insulate people, but it's only our 3rd year and growing is difficult. So you're saying that once you get large enough, you'll be able to say screw off to the volunteers? The volunteers you're capitulating to now? What makes you think? What makes you think if you are blacklisting me on very normal jokes, what makes you think anyone who has any sort of edgy content will want to be involved in your organization if they know that at any point in time a volunteer can just be like, I don't like this VTuber, and you'll bend over backwards to keep the volunteer instead of dealing with the VTuber? Especially from the screenshots that you've shown, I've done nothing wrong and said nothing hateful. You said there were more complaints beside the tweet, so I'm curious as to what those were. This is the 2nd time I have asked for what besides the tweets was said. He did not answer me the first time, and he does not answer me this time. And I say, this seems like people being petty, possibly the same people who didn't want Pippa to be there previously. I'm an easier mark to get rid of since I do not have the backing of a company, much less a company that sponsors so much of OffKai. And this is where things get funny, chat. Previously, OffKai had the same exact issue where volunteers said, either you remove Pippa from the con or we quit. But because FaZe has unity, and they have the either we all go or none of us go mentality, OffKai couldn't kick Pippa out and instead lost the volunteers. That was not negligible because she had the backing of a company. The funny part is, I thought that this was OffKai, and so I mentioned it to him as if I knew that this happened, because I thought that it did.
What the hell is a spicy cat raid?
I was getting OffKai confused with Youmacon. Youmacon had tons of public posts about how they only wanted like a couple of FaZe members, and FaZe did the either we all go or none of us do. And so they were all allowed to go to Youmacon. And somewhere in my brain, since it had been so long since this happened, for some reason I thought that that was Pippa getting blacklisted from OffKai. And so again, I said it as if I knew that it was true. And apparently it did happen, but I didn't know that. I had just gotten confused. But the director of OffKai confirmed it and said the people who had caused the issues with Pippa left us last year as well. So I just did the best poker face in my entire fucking life. And the director just confirmed that it happened without me actually knowing. So many bullets in their feet!
Italian, that means I can
So like, when I was trying to find like the public tweets that I had read about OffKai, both me and Ziz were like, the only things we can find are Youmacon. And I was like, all these tweets are very familiar. I've read these before. Did I like fuck it up in my head? And the director just confirmed it because I was assertive and sounded like I knew what I was talking about? Speech 100, honestly. 100 charisma check. I am a good bluffer. I should buy a lottery ticket, honestly. And as an indie, I'm sure the director once again thought getting rid of me to keep the volunteers would be negligible for their bottom line, because I do not have the support of a company.
Yeah, and that's what it was. A shit show, to be sure. But the biggest shit show is still ahead of us, as people, you know, have noticed what has been going on with OffKai Expo. And, you know, some people decided to make it an even bigger issue than it already was. So let's take a look at some of these reactions. But, you know, before we get into that, I would like to introduce you to someone that has been pointed out by me, and I've been teasing their reveal. You know, how the OffKai staffers said that, you know, they don't want problematic fucking people on their panels, at least. And there is one. There is one person that has been escaping accountability for many years now. And they've been escaping it rather well, because they've grown pretty big. To the fucking point where they successfully managed to write Project Melody's fucking coattails and even collab with her numerous times. They went out of the way to schmooze themselves within popular LootTubers, especially, and also those within, you know, the ID poll, the identity politics related communities as well. Who am I talking about here? Well, in case you don't know, there's this VTuber called Soxs, or however the fuck you pronounce that. I never bothered to learn that because it's way too dumb. But that's not my problem here. Soxs is one of these people that has gotten her own panel at this year's OffKai Expo. And this is the announcement of that from April 18th of this year. Gamers and LootTuber fans, Soxs has been invited to her first ever convention at OffKai Gen 3, hosting a huge LootTuber panel. Curious to take a peek? Come see what she has in store for you from May 31st to June 2nd in Burlingame, California. And here's her hardline stance. Soxs, I'm say so because I say so. And you may be wondering, because a lot of you probably don't know her like at all. Like, what's the problem with this LootTuber other than being a LootTuber? I don't mind LootTubers, but a lot of them couldn't make sexually appealing if it came and hit them in the head. But you know, that's my personal opinion about how they conduct themselves in this sort of loot industry. Not to my liking, essentially. But let me get to the point. Soxs, you know, is someone with a history that's specifically related to who she was before she became Soxs. And there are accounts out there that have compiled a lot of shit on her, and I'm one of these accounts. This one in particular is a little bit more petty about what Soxs does. Apart from the things that I deem important, that I cataloged about Soxs, there's this account called Soxs Evidence, and they have a lot on that account with the bad things that Soxs has done. A lot of them being kind of petty. But if you noticed here, this person responded to OffKai Expo saying this Soxs Evidence account. It's a shame someone who's done so bad in this world still gets a chance like this with no punishment, and everyone ignores the bad they're done. And guess what this is? This is a hidden tweet. And who hid it? OffKai Expo itself. So to me, this signals that OffKai Expo either knows what Soxs has done in the past and is attempting to hide it for whatever reason, or, you know, it just may be that they're trying to hide someone's post that is trying to be contrarian, is trying to be, stir up trouble. That may be the case. Or, you know, they essentially may know what Soxs has done in the past and just do not fucking care what she has done. And what has Soxs done? Well, believe it or fucking not, Soxs is actually one of the reasons, and the primary reason I actually made my VTuber gimmick account in the fucking first place. And it was a little event from 4 years ago that dealt with the harassment of a lolly succubus VTuber called Kudo. Kudo used to have a very skimpily dressed lolly succubus VTuber model. And upon discovering that in late 2020, a lot of VTubers decided to organize what is essentially a harassment campaign to get Kudo in trouble from all kinds of places. Essentially, deplatform her and remove her from the internet and worse. And this is pretty much a retelling of what this was. This is my tweet from January 9th, 2021, over 3 years ago. One of the VTuber driving forces behind Kudo's harassment back in the beginning of December, gloating about forcing her to private account temporarily, including that particular VTuber's Discord rules for getting access to not safe for content, because it kind of shows that Soxs, or who she was, which is K Kraken and any other aliases there, was a little bit of a suspect in terms of what they did with their Discord and what they told they want from people to verify their identity on that Discord. But this is of a lesser issue, but still an issue. What the issue here is how K Soxs behaved towards Kudo. There's a few screenshots that I haven't included here because I couldn't find them for the life of me. I did a bad job at that, at least. But the people that were there in the past 4 years ago can corroborate my story on this. K here essentially decided to go after Kudo because, how terrible it is that this lolly succubus VTuber exists and they're quote-unquote sexualizing children, and that's bad, that's evil, and this person needs to be removed from the internet because of that. And Fangs, currently Destiny 2 VTuber, I still think, was also part of that harassment campaign. And here's them congratulating one another after K got Kudo to go private because of the mass harassment she has been receiving from multiple VTubers. Fangs says here, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And K Soxs replies with that, "No thank you for retweeting this. Already spoke about it an hour or so ago. They had to block a mutual already as well because they claimed they were being mean, lol. Friggin' fuck. When they can... Well, then they can suck my ink sack." So says Soxs. And in case you needed proof that this K person here is Soxs, well, here's a few deleted tweets with Fangs participating in the same conversation. You can see the tweets correspond one-to-one, with her responding to the person that was K. And what is the ad here? Well, it's Soxs34, because they changed their handle and they essentially changed their whole identity and deleted all of the tweets that were corresponding to her harassing somebody. But there's more to it, because Soxs isn't just a fucking harasser. She's not just a retard that harasses people for ambiguous reasons because of their fucking model. She's also a hypocrite, and I'll get into that in a moment. And here's Soxs, still SK, admitting that she got Kudo to go into private because of the mass harassment that she herself fucking contributed to, and essentially was one of the ringleaders of that. Update, I got her on private. Let's fucking go, guys. Let's keep going, though. Let's keep going and do exactly what, Soxs. Let's keep going until she disappears from the internet and then she kills herself. What's the end game here? I do wonder. What was the end game here 4 fucking years ago? In case you're looking for this tweet, doesn't exist anymore, of course, because Soxs hid everything, deleted everything that could be potentially incriminating. As dumb as this fucking girlie is, she at least hides her tracks pretty well. Because at that point, nobody gave a fuck. It does, you know. Only as Soxs became popular did that thing come up. Oh, not this one. This is something else. And here's them talking about an important message as this harassment campaign was, you know, in full swing. Do remember this because this is going to be important later on. Important message, please retweet. It's not okay to normalize a character that looks like a child and is sexualized. Look closer at what you're supporting. Please don't give us VTubers a bad face. This is just the beginning for us. Which is, you know, a typical thing a pre-debut would say. Essentially a tourist at this point. Because Soxs was a fucking nobody at that particular moment in time. An absolute unknown until they started to harass somebody. So saying that, you know, lolly VTubers give fucking VTubing a bad fucking name is hilarious comment to make, considering the history of VTubers and who's actually in VTubing and who was popular. And what kind of people popularized it, especially on the JP side of things. And please retweet this if you want to support the community. I will be unfollowing anyone tomorrow who is still supporting these actions. What a brave VTuber you've been at that point. But you know what's funny? Soxs, as she was getting popular, she decided, you know, fuck all of these comments about, you know, sexualizing childlike characters, quote unquote, when she can make profit out of it. And guess what the fuck she did? Well, Soxs is a loot tuber, and she has hentai nights for her special Patreons, so they can watch it on like some streaming services that allow porn on it, essentially. And guess what game Soxs decided to play with her viewers back in was it November of 2022, I believe? And here's me making a comment about it. Suddenly, lolly fucking ain't so bad when you can profit out of it. And what is this screenshot right here with Soxs saying on her not safe for work account, because she has two. One is more safe for work, the other is completely lewd. Hentai night is best night. And what is this screenshot? What game is this? Of course, this is Necopara. A game made by a lolicon featuring explicit lolicon sexual acts in it. There's lollycat girls getting fucked in it. There's lollycat girls fucking one another in it. As you can probably see from the screenshot itself here. Which is still can be shown on YouTube, at least. It's censored enough. And here's she advertising it on her Patreon because, you know, why not be a full hypocrite and just, you know, fucking profit off of it too. Tier 3 Patreons and family members can join our monthly hentai nights and VR chat meetups. We voice over hentai games together and then watch hentai together afterwards for hentai night. But, you know, I think Soxs kind of grew a little bit wise of this. And these tweets are also now deleted because, you know, if someone would ever find out that Soxs supports childlike characters fucking in a game like this, there could have been some trouble. Someone like me could have noticed it and called it out. But, you know, magically, that didn't happen. Of course it fucking happened. I saw this. And these tweets are now fucking deleted, but there's evidence of them existing. Here are some people commenting on these particular tweets that now do not exist. Hey, it's Nekopara. Love that game. And another one. Nekopara was such a great game. So many volumes. So not only was this shit fake as fuck, this VTuber that harassed someone into almost deleting their whole online presence or fucking worse. Not only is she a fucking harasser, she's also a hypocrite. And there's more to Soxs than just this sort of thing. There's also patterns of awful fucking behavior as she caters to the parasocial side of things. But you know, and then goes incredibly aggressive when her audience tries to play into it. Being incredibly rude to people that comment on her posts. And I think I should do an Soxs exclusive stream at one point, because this fuck nugget, and as I will call her from this point onward, fuck nugget here has done a lot more than just this, because there's whole call out posts about this person. There's experience fucking documents about her. There's a lot more to cover here. And I don't do this regularly, but I have a tweet with the very thing I showed you right now on my account. So in case, you know, you want to help spread awareness of a harasser at OffKai Expo, just kind of getting away with it for so many years now, you know, under the guise of super duper LGBTQ plus IA, whatever the fuck, you know, pandering and giving up her previous identity so other people won't find it. If you want to spread awareness of that, go and retweet that tweet from my account, because, you know, I despise people like this, not taking accountability for their actions and then just fucking getting away with it time and time again without any sort of repercussions. And similar to with Camilla, at least taking accountability for her actions, even if you don't believe the apology is sincere or whatnot. At least accountability has been upheld in that sort of thing. But for Soxs, for this fucking coward, there was nothing for 4 years. And she essentially almost ruined the person, or worse, with her behavior. And then dared to do a similar thing, even despite, you know, Kyoto has never being a fucking loot tuber or anything like that. But Soxs is a loot tuber and actually promoted a fucking game with lolicon porn in it. Funny thing to think about it. She did much worse than Kyoto has ever done by her own fucking standards. So, in case you want to spread awareness about a person like that, you know, feel free to do so by retweeting things that are on my account right now, as I showed you. It's one of my latest tweets too. Very timely for OffKai Expo. So, OffKai, if you ever again watch this, we probably won't, because again, small streamer that doesn't go very far, unfortunately. But OffKai Expo staff, I have this say to you. If you want to, you know, be consistent with your rules, I don't think Soxs should have a panel of her own, because Soxs has done so much worse than Kirsche has ever fucking done. But yeah, that is a tangent we went on, just to show you what kind of people would get platformed by OffKai. And again, I don't know if they knew about this, or if they purposely hid the information about her when someone called her out on this. I don't know. What I do know, that she still has a panel, and Kirsche doesn't. And I'm not fine with that. If you want to keep rules consistent, Keep them fucking consistent. No fucking problematic people, no harassers. That's what it's supposed to be. But yeah, let's take a look at some other reactions before we end this. Because there's just some fucking unhinged people that have decided to comment on this. Yeah. Let me read a comment real quick here. Time sure has changed from 2020 to now. New lolly VTubers have gotten attacked on the quotes like crazy. That is, and yeah, and some people have played. Some people that were previously anti. Some people that had hardline, principled stances about quote unquote sexualizing children, despite them not actually being fucking children but fucking cartoons. Have suddenly fucking flip-flopped on that, and now it's fine to do so because you can get attention and money out of it. Funny how that works, but also funny how I remember all of these fucking people, and I will not let them get away with that. I won't. So yeah, we'll see what happens to that. If Soxs will just fucking continue to fucking get away with that. Who the fuck knows? But again, let's take a look at some of the reactions to this terrible Telebus fucking situation, because there have been some more reasonable replies to Kirsche's problem, and there have been some absolutely unhinged ones. So let's take a look at all of them that I gathered up. And as I was saying, this issue has gathered up so much, so much attention that people like Ref Says Desu have even commented on that. Here's Ref talking about it. Hello at OffKai Expo. I'm supposed to be doing a meet and greet for my community at your convention. I'm going to be honest, I was looking forward to this event, but I don't care about my slot at all if you're going to be blacklisting people like at Kirsche Verstahl. If you're going to blacklist her, you might as well blacklist me too. I won't be supporting OffKai Expo in any way until the situation is handled fairly. Talking more about this in a video tomorrow. Here's Nish Gamer commenting on it. Sorry Kirsche Verstahl, but talking to our community manager apparently got you in trouble with trouble from OffKai Expo. It sounds like attendees should probably suggest they get less sensitive volunteers instead of punishing creators for wrongthink, or consider requesting refunds. Here's Cabrudus commenting about it as well. Based Ref Says Desu. Also, I'll say more if someone who was planning to go to OffKai Expo don't. Do not reward them for this. I don't even know you, Kirsche Verstahl, but every fight for free speech is a fight of mine. I'm sorry that this is happening to you. And of all people, Grums of Gamergate fame, of former Blizzard employee, former Vanilla WoW developer, also chimed in on this as well. So this contributing to this issue blowing up on social media even more, because if you haven't noticed it, at the time when this was happening, about at this point like 20 hours ago, I believe, both Kirsche and OffKai Expo have gotten trending because of this issue. And Grums had this to say: they banned Kirsche Verstahl from panels at OffKai Expo. Cons have been getting away with this type of BS for years. They want you to tell people what's really going on. They want to pretend everyone thinks and acts only one way. It's not diversity, it's garbage. Here's another person called Savi commenting on this. If you don't follow groupthink, a small number of people who will obsessively comment your tweets and try to ruin any appearances you have. They will demand you to be silenced because they cannot live in an open and free market of ideas. They will cry, kick, and scream if they don't get their way. Infantile behavior like that used to be treated as such. Now it's reinforced by those desperate to look morally right, despite it quite literally being antithesis to the concept of diversity. Instead of a discussion, it calls for silence. Instead of, hey, you do you, it calls for silence. No more silence. Everyone should speak up. Everyone should no longer fear any of this. Don't give them that power, that vanity and that pride, because it's truth. There is nothing to fear. It's fine to disagree with someone, but you can do it so in a respectful way. You can mute what you don't want to see. You can see less of thanks of Twitter curation. But if someone else's ideas really ruin your day to the point of infantile behavior, where you can't function, it might be a time to get off internet for a little and have some lavender tea. And here's Kirsche showcasing the tweets she got in trouble with OffKai Expo for. And here's Sayel commenting on this too. You did it. Their fear brings the forced pandering of entities like Bridge to even more light. God bless you, VTuber at Kirsche Verstahl. And here's some other comments from other users. Some VTubers had done worse at OffKai Expo, but you blacklisted Kirsche for this. Don't you think that's unfair? I hope you guys can hear the voice of people getting angry because of this, and I hope you guys are unblacklisted Kirsche. And before we move on, I will take like a 2-minute break to get a drink because my voice is getting hoarse. And I'll leave you with a short intermission as I'll be right back. So just go grab a drink, take a toilet break, whatever. I'll be right back.
I have something somewhat
Hold up.
important to talk about.
Okay, I'm back. There's too many things got turned out at the same time. But let's continue on with looking at some of the reactions of these very, very invested people. Some of them invested in a positive way, others in a quite the negative way. So let's continue. Music's back up. I said you'd become the Alex Jones of VTubing, all the good and bad things about it. But it'll keep going after things like Bridge or not after this, regardless will be test of your character. Though I think you'll just keep being you. Pippa changed, but maybe you won't, maybe. For OffKai, it's not that Pippa changed, it's that Pippa has a corp protecting her, and corp that gives money to OffKai. Lysander himself said at some point they also tried to blacklist Pippa, but nobody in Face Connect would participate or fund the convention without Pippa. And guess who decided to contribute to this post? Here's my favorite Austrian schizo about whom I did a stream a week ago. Of course, when Kirsche is mentioned, he's not very far contributing with his insanity. Mr. Vollständigen Namen. No, that is a lie. Kirsche just can't read and /or mispresented what that guy actually wrote when she talked about it on stream. He just said that last year had volunteers leave because of Pippa. Everything past that is just Kirsche's delusions. And he has a lot more comments about this. We'll probably see some more going forward, but he's been tweeting about this every single fucking day. And again, whenever Kirsche is mentioned, he is always there, trying to gaslight people and misconstrue what Kirsche says and what everybody else says about Kirsche as well. Here's a Grixed or Trigger Point commenting about it too. Crazy how OffKai can blacklist Kirsche for being controversial figure. It invited Marina VT last year and after they harassed multiple VTubers for playing the Wizard game. Here's an article link by Niche Gamer. VTuber Kirsche has been effectively banned as a panelist from OffKai Expo. Details below. And you know, as Kirsche was relaying her story, other VTubers have also decided to chime in with their own experiences with OffKai. Here's Alara talking about it. I don't want to come across as salty, but seeing the OffKai plus Kirsche story develop really makes me wonder. I was denied the panel despite my work with tons of creators and many prior con appearances. I don't know, just seems like things behind the scenes for OffKai are not so great. And Lara is available. She can attend OffKai Expo as a VTuber, but she too has been, for whatever reason, denied the panel. Why? Who knows? Maybe similar reasons to Kirsche. But she should find out. And from what I personally know, I know there have been a lot of people coming to Kirsche in a more private manner. I don't know who they were or who they are. And they might be sharing some of their experiences going forward too. But who knows if they decide to do it or not. Nothing's certain. Let's continue. I was also denied the panel, but I'm sure it's more so because of my inexperience. But I've heard some stories that are just like a bit yikes. So, you know, it's not just one person. It could be that these people were denied because of, you know, essentially the lack of timetables. Like timetables filled up. Could be that. Could be other reasons. Could be reasons like Kirsche too. Who knows at this point. Lumi Angler, thank you for the 10. I don't believe Lara because she was announced as a guest for Lucid Multimedia today. She had to previously apply as a guest. See, the difference here is that having a panel hosted by another entity is fine with them, and OffKai already said that. that if it's an OffKai specifically hosted panel, like OffKai itself is managing that panel, they may consider such actions as they did against Kirsche. But if it's a different entity, like what Elara has via Lucid, then it's on Lucid's hands how this panel is gonna go. So I do believe Elara is fine with that, but she was denied. She was probably denied a panel that would be supervised by OffKai's staffers themselves. This is what I imagine it to be, at least. Let's continue. Here we go with, unhinged ones, because they're going to be a lot more common going forward. And of course, it's a water barrel profile too, from a Death Raven heavy metal VTuber, Keino Aikawa, which I believe I covered in one of my videos before for some unhinged behavior. Kirsche is also kind of a terrible fucking person, doesn't elaborate, like, at all. Here's one of Niji Sanji's latest Niji sisters competing for the trophy of biggest corporate dick sucker. Bint Bantome, who I covered extensively in another one of my streams, as he was getting really upset with false ID to the point of tweeting about him for like a week straight about how unupset they are about false ID covering him on his videos. Here's him commenting on Rev about the OffKai situation. Oh no, please don't boycott. What will OffKai do without a right-wing culture war dog doing an unaffiliated meet and greet? Because of course a Niji sister has to insert himself into this fucking discussion. They want free speech when they are the one affected, but when Niji talents say something, they goes berserk just to make it seem like as the worst thing a person can say. Well, people like like Uki Violetta, they can be allowed to say whatever racist shit they want, but the consequences of saying that shit, are not something they should be able to avoid. So this is talking about accountability, not removing someone's ability to actually speak, because Uki, people benefit from Uki being racist against white people because they learn what kind of piece of shit Uki actually is, So him being able to say that to other people is a net positive because they get informed about it. So that's a good thing. So some Niji sister, do not misconstrue what this is about. But I do love that Niji sisters are inserting themselves into it too. It's funny that you want to act like Kirsche just had a little different opinion, whoopsie, and not her most recent videos play a white replacement 4chan conspiracies, and nobody saying they would want to watch a trash associated with their event. Here's some screenshots taken out of context, like Kirsche saying "you subhuman filth." Patriotic ethno-state speedrun with the video title. Of course, all of this is completely removing all of the context in which Kirsche has uttered these words to make Kirsche look like some weird wacko conspiracy theorist. I don't like the new ooh anime girl version of fascism. Talking about Kirsche. Here's Jasmine, another competitor in Niji Sanji's dick-sucking competition. The irony of that OffKai development is not lost on me, because these people had no issue when staff made decisions to not allow or take back approval for other VTubers. But let it be that alt-right flop of the month, Pearls got clutched. Had my own criticism of some decisions that Con made, but they ain't wrong about Culture Warrior 24/7, sorry. And just like I said before, choosing not to support a convention because they won't allow someone you like is your opinion, your decision. and not even I even said something similar, but like real talk, can choose to support stuff like that for people who maybe don't get mad at pronouns. LOL. I do recall this person being violently mad when fucking Niji Sanji got uninvited to OffKai Expo, so do consider that. Here's someone not being able to keep it in their pants. Pippa and Kirsche are trending for some reason, hopefully because they did some lesbian shit on stream. Of course, our favorite VTuber journalist, current VTuber writer, because he decided to remove journalist from his name, as if that's gonna remove his terrible opinions about things from the world. Ducky has decided to comment on Kirsche's blacklisting with: reminder, conventions aren't obligated to give you the spotlight. Much like you're allowed to say whatever you want, but you can also choose not to platform that for whatever reason. It's a privilege, not a right. After all, that's happened this year. I'm pretty convinced that VTuber doesn't deserve OffKai. Everyone is acting like petulant children to try to sway decisions. OffKai isn't perfect, but the community is acting absolutely feral. If you don't like it, go to another convention. And to contrast this, I prepared his statement when Niji Sanji got uninvited to OffKai from April, I believe. Oh no, from March, the beginning of March. Here's what he had to say about that when that happened. I'm gonna put my best crying voice for this. Never have I been more disappointed in the community. This has gone on too long. Where talent and attendee safety is a real concern due to tribalism. This doesn't help get VTubers to conventions, given many hosts are already hesitant to invite, and now agencies might be to accept. I don't really understand why it took 2 weeks to announce this. If it's been locked, that's 2 weeks of trip planning someone may have made just to see Erythia. And we all know what happened today on the timeline, but my above point still stands. Again, I'll say the same to you as you said to people about Kirsche. If you don't like the convention, go attend something else. Funny how he complained about OffKai's decision about uninviting Niji Sanji to the convention, but I had a completely different thing to say about Kirsche, who I'm quite sure he doesn't like because Kirsche has gone on his case many times before, because the man has the worst opinions fucking possible, uninformed, incompetent in his fucking writing, just a complete bootlicker for any color at any point of the fucking day. So him being consistent is something you should not expect out of him. But yeah, this was Ducky's fucking opinion of the month, which of course is, as you expect, very dumb. Another opinion. A good move from OffKai. Kirsche is purely a political commentator, and politics of any kind are harmful to VTubing. Left, right, it doesn't matter. It's all the same garbage. The fact that she name-dropped Pippa and that's Face Connect sponsor is an act of personal betrayal on top. OffKai made it political by banning someone for their politics and not for anything problematic. If you don't like Kirsche, don't watch her on Get Near the Panel. Naming Face Connect and Pippa was justified and explained, and I hope Fishman reconsiders OffKai in the future. So yeah, this person, I believe, does know jack shit about Kirsche's content, because Kirsche is primarily, a gaming streamer. She has streamed gaming for many, many years now, and getting into any kind of activism for Kirsche is a pretty new thing, because again, as I was saying before, her hobbies got infected by people. She is opposed on, not only on a political stance, but also on a moral stance. on an ethics stance, even when it comes to how they behave and what actions they take against, other people. So of course she's gonna talk about things that are related to her hobbies and what these activists do in order to subvert these hobbies. These people made Kirsche political. Kirsche didn't make herself political. This is what you do to regular people, activists. You make people that just want to mind their own business, go against you because how unreasonable you are. This is all your fault. But more comments. Kirsche is like a hardcore doxer and Kiwi Farms enthusiast, and that is just the start of the reasons people wouldn't want her at their convention. When has she ever doxed someone? Bro, she has an entire Kiwi Farm split docs website dedicated to worshipping her, and she uses often. Of course, to go against these lies, the owner of this particular Kiwi split docs website, the Virtual Asylum, the VTuber forum, Proctor decided to chime in on this. Hi, that's my website. Link in bio. Have explicit rules stating no doxes of talents ever. Have removed attempts to dox VTubers' names and addresses. The only thing I allow is public information. Public information? Yeah, cool excuses. You can hope you reflect on the damage you do to people someday. I frequent the Virtual Asylum frequently. There are some pictures of people's faces on it, but those are posted there from, people's not private, public-facing profiles, and they're limited to a thread. No one on that website, to my knowledge, has ever posted anyone's docs information, including addresses, real names, and things like that. I do not recall seeing such a thing. May be wrong, but, I trust what I've seen. And I've never seen such a thing for as long as I've been on that forum. And it's been a couple of years at this point since I've been on that forum, lurking, and after that joining it. And I've never seen things like that happen. If they did happen, they probably have been deleted. So that's my belief. Again, could be wrong about that, but my personal experience here is that I have never seen a thing like that happening. Moving on. Here's Azahara posting that clip that we watched together. Kirsche gets blacklisted from OffKai. Look at the reason why the management told her she couldn't be in a panel. Full 20+ minute video on link. Bro, you know the exact reason why she's blacklisted, why you're defending a transphobe that violently attacks them on her stream. I know why she got blacklisted. Don't think transphobia has anything to do with it. Identity politics and DEI does. Believe you should rewatch her content, bro. I've been clipping Kirsche since March 2023. I've watched her since around September 2022. Pretty sure I have watched her content. Just because you speak out against someone that is a terrible person that happens to be trans doesn't mean you are transphobic. Kirsche targeted Chris by saying murder, suicide, and laughing about it. Everyone has the right to free speech, but not to state violence. Proof of the violent attacking them, and proof of her being transphobic, or are you just parodying what you heard? People hate her say without checking if it's true. Got it. And here's them posting that clip. Let's watch that clip and see like what this violent rhetoric against trans people is. Because it's really enlightening what this person showed here. So let me put up that clip real quick. Just give me a moment. I hope I have it actually saved. It should be somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Here's that terrible clip of Kirsche violently attacking trans people.
But recently he came out as transgender and...
Look at the title of this video with 2 likes and 2 dislikes. Kirsche being transphobic and violent.
but recently he came out as transgender, and now he wants me to
Here's her
support
being
him.
clipped, and if you see the description, Chris associated with Mr. Beast, trans hate.
As he's, you know, getting these surgeries and he's wearing women's clothes out in public. I feel just as bad.
Interrupts the clip for whatever fucking reason. The video still keeps going. Goes to another clip. For whatever reason.
She has lost her.
What does this say? The clip says trans hate into violence. Well, let's listen to this violence rhetoric that Kirsche apparently propagates.
Husband. Right? There's no fixing that. There's no coming back from that. It doesn't matter what she types on Reddit. She no longer sees him as a man. There's zero way to repair that relationship. It's over. Chris from Mr. Beast moment, yeah. His wife will probably never say it publicly. But there is... I can assuredly assume, allegedly, there's resentment. Husband is dead, basically? Yes. Yes, and there's a lot of women on Reddit who try to get gaslit into believing that they need to stay with their new husband and support them, and it's like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. You are lucky I don't turn this into a murder-suicide.
See? Interrupted at this moment.
You're talking about support, you fucking crazy lad. Something
with
you
a
wanted
clip
to mention,
taken
one
out of
particular
context.
reason you avoided relationships with girls and women throughout your child.
Making Kirsche into someone that would murder and then kill herself because someone is trans. That's just outright silly to state. Considering what Kirsche was saying here. This violent rhetoric, as this person states, that Kirsche is supposed to believe in and promote on her streams. And continuing on, Azahara, upon seeing this clip, responded with... Not too sure what the transphobia is in that, since she has mentioned that she would probably do the same thing if she was married and her husband cheated on her after being married for a very long time. I have provided a recording of the clip. I saw someone sent to me and I recorded it. Kirsche said, "You're lucky I'm not gonna make this into a murder-suicide. Ah ha ha ha. How is that non-violent and transphobic? Anyways, any reply that I get, I'm going to report it as wish on harm. Reported for admission of abusing the report system. I don't really like Kirsche, and that's bogus reasoning / misrepresentation of what she said in your own clip." These people try so fucking hard to paint her as the fucking devil. And here's Trob, Refs' wife, also commenting on this. "Hi, OffKai Expo. I'm supposed to be at your con for a meet and greet on behalf of third-party vendor. I'm really disappointed in Kirsche Verstahl is being blacklisted. Unfortunately, unless the blacklist is removed and she's allowed to participate in the panel, I will not be attending. I cannot, in good faith, support and encourage my audience to go to this convention and spend their hard-earned money to meet me when I know Kirsche's unfair situation has still not been resolved. I am really sorry to any of my community that will be disappointed by this news. I can't lie, it frustrates me that just because Kirsche is an indie VTuber with no corporate backing, this blacklisting decision seemed to have happened much easier. OffKai needs to remember who their target audience is. I won't be supporting any conventions who treat people this way. I'm glad both Rev and Strop here are holding to their principles. Because this could be like, you know, a good opportunity to earn a little bit of attention and a little bit of money out of it as well. But if they decide not to go, that's holding steady on their principles. And as much as some would like to say that, you know, this is virtue signaling or something like that, I do know both Rev and Strobe have held steady on their principles for years now, and I have not seen hypocrisy that would tell me otherwise. So I do believe these statements are genuine. banning races is actually good. Man. You seem pretty friendly towards Uki. Someone saw that this person, you know, comments and is friendly with Uki. So, they like some racists, but others, others not much, not so much. And again, Mr. Binted, the other Nijisanji dicksucker, comments with this. Seeing all the most open bigots losing their shit at OffKai for banning this really highlights the entitlement they feel towards VTubers. They truly feel this was their space to say whatever they want. But the more their eyes on this space, the more people will say, what the fuck? Like, genuinely offended that you can't make fun of trans people constantly without consequences while doing the tisk you don't talk about politics in the VTuber community, song and dance towards any vaguely progressive cause. Seriously, fuck off. You don't deserve to be welcome in any space as long as you live to make the most vulnerable people in this community uncomfortable. As long as you think that that's a non-issue that people should just ignore, you're fucking evil. I truly hope that in the coming years, especially if this hobby hopes to truly gain fans, that this shit will fly less and less, and incidents like the Twitter freaks shit will be looked upon as complete and utter embarrassment, better left to the past and the message boards. Funny how they misconstrue the Hogwarts Legacy Twitter freaks again as being an anti-trans thing and not anti-harassment thing from utterly unhinged individuals on Twitter. To any bigots who want to come into my meshes and suddenly act like you're a tough guy troll, go write a whippy open letter to OffKai like all the thin-skinned losers who support you big fucking babies. Again, this is coming from the person that has been crying about false ID, talking about them in a fucking video for fucking weeks. And even now, from time to time, this idiot mentions false and how upset they are. So, him, or her, whatever, calling anyone a fucking baby is fucking rich. It's peak irony to me. And lastly, here's a real Kirsche fan. Love Kirsche, but things she says would get anybody kicked out of. There's no reason to be surprised this happened. She openly hates immigration, supports alt-right creators, and constantly jokes gays all have AIDS. She's a political as Futakuchi Mana, wrongly political. Yeah, this is a real Kirsche fan. You can really tell by giving all of the right opinions and relaying them in a very accurate manner to everyone else to see. I showed Kirsche this tweet, and what did she have to say about this one? He said, I also joke that women shouldn't have rights. Nice cherry picking, auntie. So, yeah. Trying to masquerade yourself as a Kirsche fan and saying stupid shit like this, it's not fooling anyone, buddy. You're not very smart saying shit like that. And again, Kirsche's opinions are very level-headed. You haven't seen terrible fucking alt-right opinions to save your fucking life. I've watched terrible people telling terrible bigoted things on streams such as the fucking Kill stream run by Rage Pig and Ethan Ralph, inviting some of the most miserable fucking individuals to spew their terrible opinions to other people. That's where you find the real bigots. Not with people like Kirsche that are fucking libertarians and constantly talk about, you know, rights and how they're being subverted by some people. But yeah, these are a few of the opinions that I showed you, that I picked from among what I've seen on Twitter today and yesterday. I'm quite sure there's more of them, as this situation, I don't know if it's gonna die down or if it's gonna escalate to a point where more and more people talk about it. It could be just forgotten in the next week, who knows, but For Kirsche's sake, I hope OffKai at least makes some sort of statement about it, like an official one. Because they made statements about, you know, people related to Kenji's fucking harassment group and Niji Sanji being uninvited from the convention. So will they make an official statement about what happened to Kirsche? I don't know. I mean, Kirsche already relayed all of the information about what she talked to about with the with Lysander and him being in charge of all of this and other volunteers. Who knows? Will OffKai make any sort of statement, or will they stay mum about this? I don't know. Will someone issue more pressure on them to make them finally say something about this? Again, do not know. Probably best for them, you know, to try to save face is not to talk about it at all, because they already did enough damage by talking to Kirsche and saying the bullshit that they did. So saying more now would probably be detrimental to their PR strategy, if they even have one. The best solution for everybody would be to reinstate her into the panel and issue apologies, but I frankly don't think they'll do that, because some of these volunteers there are too entrenched in their beliefs, and they would sooner kill themselves than allow Kirsche to have her own panel. So who knows how this is gonna turn out. But my personal prediction is that they'll probably not mention this at all and try to make sure this goes away by a prolonged act of silence. Whether I'm right, we'll have to wait and see. I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic and maybe wait for them to issue some kind of statement, or at least an apology, maybe an acknowledgement, if not an apology. But you know, that's again being way too optimistic and giving people the benefit of the doubt they don't really deserve. I tend to give too much benefit of the doubt where people do not deserve. And I know better than that to give it. But I still want to believe, naively so, that people can learn from their mistakes and actually do something positive. And even if they make a statement, I don't think anyone's going to believe it's sincere. Who knows? But I do at least care about her being, re-invited to it and her having her own panel. That would be the best possible solution. Everyone, other than the volunteers and people think that that Kirsche is some kind of female Hitler. I know these people wouldn't be happy about that, but you know, people that are normal, people that can think using common sense, they think quite differently. I do wonder what FaZe is going to do about. I mean, I know FaZe is going to be keeping quiet about this because, you know, this would be detrimental. And I personally don't want them to make statements about this, but their actions going forward in regards to OffKai might be enlightening. Like, if the following year they decide to once again maybe sponsor something at OffKai or even appear at OffKai, we'll have to wait and see how all of this is going to turn out, because to me this is still a developing situation. Many things can happen in the meantime. Even things can happen as we talk about this right now. We'll just wait and see. But you know, for right now, that's everything I have for you guys. I wanted this week. I wanted to fucking do that watch along of that worst VTuber in the world video. But again, things happen in this scene that prevent me from doing that. So to make up for that, and that's not a given, that's not a certain. We might actually do that Twitch stream, watch along tomorrow. I don't know at what time, but I do really want to watch that video with people. And I haven't watched it myself, and I have been sitting on it like for months at this point. And I do believe that video may be interesting because it's like a similar situation to what happened with Bunny Ayu, with a very popular person in the community just kind of pulling strings of other people in order to get them in trouble, to get them cancelled. This is another one of these situations, and maybe interesting as this person has done a documentary about that. But they also did a different video, which is one of the worst VTuber videos I've seen, as I was saying before. So yeah, maybe tomorrow we'll do that watch along. If we do, I'm gonna announce it on Twitter, and then we'll have my first Twitch stream and see how fast we can get banned, because I'm the worst in the VTuber community, and you can get banned from Twitch for off-platform behavior. So you know, let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what OffKai does, and let's wait and see what Twitch does when I actually do have my stream on that platform. But thank you for coming. We had an enlightening stream about how organizations work behind the scenes, how conventions, especially anime adjacent conventions, work, because you'd be surprised how similar it can be in terms of environment, of working environment with some of these people. And I can believe it's especially true with West Coast located conventions. That mind rot is real. Brain rot is very much real. And yeah. So once again, thank you guys for coming. I look forward to tomorrow, possibly, maybe, we'll see. You guys be good. Have a good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day, wherever you find yourself in the world. Stay hydrated, more than I do. Stay off Twitter, unless you browse porn on it. Then you're in a pretty much good place. So once again, thank you for coming out, and I'll play you off with pretty good music choice, I think. So you guys take care and have a good one. Bye bye.